Atata. Now, the parameter of the patient, and it's take 3. And the last one moment is the patient to face the profound truth without fears. To face the profound, like kind of to bear the profound teaching and truth, the realities. And generally speaking, most like kind of a religious or like kind of part of the supporting and not telling the truth. And Buddha's teachings telling the truth. You do this and that, then is the result is this and that. And if you analyze the phenomena, and also it's like the nature reality is like this. And sometimes it's like an inconceivable nature reality or the functionality of the phenomena. Very profound, deep truth. We see like this, then we shouldn't to have fear. Here we're talking about the should you receive teaching on the natural state of the profound emptiness, or more particularly on the key point of natural great perfections beyond all the activity and effort. And this sort of very, very profundity then it's like do not need to be afraid. Natural state of the profound emptiness. The nature of the phenomena, it is very profound, difficult to analyze, very inconceivable, like indescribable. Therefore, some in the text says, there's no existence. Even the Buddha's wisdom eyes can't see nothing. No existence is not the basis of the samsara and nirvana. Of course, not kind of together, not like without, contradict. And in that perspective is, if you want to express, very difficult. And when we look at the phenomena, externally and innerly, others, ourselves, where is come from? Where is we are abiding? Where is our destination? Nothing there is. Who can to say? No past, no future, no present. Then it's like kind of we become maybe scared, but don't need to worry. It's very funny, there is kind of the interruption of the continuations. But there are the nothing kind of the substantially existence. These are nature realities, free from any elaboration, exaggerations, so on. More particularly on the key point of the nurture great perfections, beyond all the activity and effort. Natural. It is a great perfection. The natural. Why you call the natural? Because itself is no cause and no conditions. Then it's natural. Nobody's created, nobody's produced. Itself is natural. Nothing depends on other things. It is natural. And it is not past, present, futures. It is natural. No birth, no death, no old age, no sickness. Natural. Therefore, this natural is a great perfection and go beyond. Apply any kind of activities, positive or negatives, in order to collect, in order to become more nice. And you don't need to put effort. And that perspective, effortlessly. This kind of when you hear, oh, maybe what it is, impossible. And these relative things comes from this, that. Past, present, futures, they kind of the tricky, liarly to say. And also we cannot to go deeply analysis for the phenomena. And also we believe this kind of something truly existence. Exist in ourselves, existence of the others. This sort of we can hear. When we hear, not necessarily to be afraid. You need to be about that. And also it says on the 12th Vajra love beyond the effect of good and bad. And action all on the 8 great, marvelous verses. Like a kind of the natural great perfection is no cause, ha-has, no condition, ha-has, no birth, ha-ha, no death, ha-has. This kind of Vajra laughs. But of course, in the ordinary childish perspective, there is the diluted of the birth, old age. Birth, death, so on. But natural great perfection's perspective, it itself is at the beginningless, it is purity or the go beyond the purity or impurities. There is nothing kind of the affection of the good karma or bad karmas. Not a great perfection perspective. Everything is equanimity or equalities or the sameness. Single test, single pointed. And that perspective in all the relative things are laughable. And therefore you say to go beyond. Even the good Buddhas do not need to make the good. Even the worst evil sentient beings cannot to make the evil or the bad things. It is go beyond. If you apply those exaggerations, it's laughable. And also it's like kind of the extraordinary. No cause, no condition. No father, no mother, no birth, no death. It is marvelous, great, extraordinary. Therefore, there is the 8 great marvelous verse. These are the least you can to look at in the Mr. Google, but I think it's now to look at them is maybe too early. You have, this is a pity instructions. When you are world or my perfect teacher, finish it. And then you receive the Griha Garbhatantra. Maybe you go to like kind of the Yeshilam or so on. That moment you well received these pity instructions. That moment, then you can to say, to study. Maybe right now you searching this, ask someone. Maybe for you it's like a little bit too, for me it's a little bit too early. Like if you say the 12 Vajra love beyond the effect of the good and bad, what it is. There's no affected, good or bad. But how it is the nature, great perfections, there's no effect of the good and bad. Alpha purities. That is like kind of, we need basic analysis and educations. Before that, it is maybe too early. And also it's like the 8 great marvelous verse, same. Maybe we can talk later. This sort of, when you hear, for the beginners, maybe possible you shock or try to grasp their true meaning without giving rise to a negative views. When you received this sort of, do not understand and then have doubt. Like for example, someone says, this sort of, I heard 25 years, 30 years, this kind of teachers, like 12 Vajra love beyond the fact good, bad, or the 8 great marvelous verses. I read it, I received the teaching, I followed those masters 20, 30, 40 years, but nothing happened. Because we don't really to understand. Then has kind of the negative views, criticize. Oh, it doesn't work. It is maybe it's like kind of the fancy word. And kind of for your perspective, it is the empty. Exactly like this. It works fantastic. It is the wonderful pity instructions. But too early, not very good. There's the, for instance, take example. 1 or 2, 3 years or the few months child, you give a very dry bread or hard food. Maybe it is very delicious. For this baby's point, it's not very good. Exactly like this. For the beginners, this kind of the word can lead want instantaneously to be enlightenment, but we are the receiver of the containers to need to clean, to prepare, to be ready. That is the most important. And never have a rising like kind of the negative views without giving a rise. Very important. For example, great many masters, they never teach you in the beginning, because if you teach and giving rising to the negative views, and if you have the negative views for the natural great perfections, it's not very good. And also natural great emptiness, if you have negative views, not very good. Therefore, you should to give or to study first basic, like kind of the like dynamic of the foundation of the Buddha Dharma teachings. Very important. But if you received, do not be afraid, do not need to hesitate, do not have negative views. To have wrong views about these teachings or to criticize, then is what is the called? The harmful acts of the rejecting the Dharma set. And that is the like kind of the very much evil deeds. You harmful acts of the rejecting the Dharma set. And therefore many great masters really take cares. You know, if for example these days, some very funny Lama, like same as me, and they don't care the teachings, they don't care the student mind, they don't care for the lineages, they only care the popularities, and like kind of the to counting the student, how many? 1,000, 10,000, 20,000. Then it's like teaching is very much direct. Sometimes it's like day and night almost. Years taught natural great perfections. But some student is worse and worse, more criticized, more arrogant. This kind of student, even if you receive the Bodhicitta avatars, maybe you can to say the bullish or bullshit. We don't need this kind of basic teachings. What do you need? We need natural great perfection, Dzogpa Chenpo. But reality is the full of the arrogant, proud, and your teacher is maybe extraordinary. Maybe it's too early to teach you. You are not ready. Afterwards, of course, and any kind of basic teaching, word of my perfect teacher, Bodhicitta Avatara, 37 practice of the Bodhisattva, is based marvelous for the beginner. But this sort of like kind of the tiring, boring, and it's like kind of longer term. I need direct. Direct, ourselves is ready. How much do we have the devotion, faith? You know, Shada Rinpoche's wonderful history. I never met this great master. I have such a faith devotion. You know, there is one American guy, $1 million coming to front, Shada Rinpoche. I offer it to you, and can you introduce natural mind, or can you give me direct, like this kind of 12 Vajra love, beyond the effect of the good and bad, 8 great marvelous verse, so on. First, Shada Rinpoche, yes, that's no problems. All the kind of his family retinues is good. Now Rinpoche need to give introduction to natural reality. And then finally, okay, now I will make kind of nice shit, put in the nice billet, prepare the knife and forks. Then you need to eat. Of course, impossible. But reality, of course, this is Shadow which 100% never give. But he said, not. Okay, I'm not business. Our connection is absolutely needed, pure. It doesn't work. Your $1 million is become the useless, take away, never come back to it. Great master is like this, not looking for the something money, power, and amount of the student. Great masters to looking only the suitable, like kind of the really be ready receptacle of the student mind. If you are be ready, 100% Shadow Rinpoche give immediately to introduce, to give this kind of teachings. Doesn't matter you are poor, bigger, homeless. Maybe homeless is much better. We can look at the back histories. Great, like natural great perfection teachers. Garab Dorje, Shiro Singha, Jamperchi, Machushir Mata, so on. They haven't got 1,000 students, only single. And students also follow the teachers 20, 30, 40 years. Every day they listen to teachings. This day is, for example, teacher is busy, student is busy. Teachers not giving, students become immediately angry. Oh, how many years? Yeah, boring. This person's talking about 4 reminders. Ngondro, preliminary, Bodhicitta avatar. Don't need go there. We need to go to it. Of course, like this. For example, these days, like kind of the Bon traditions. Also, I think they need to take care of the lineage, Bombo tradition of the Dzogchen. But they are giving very much direct. Someone says like, oh, if I like receive the great, natural great perfections, I will see the Bombo master. I will receive direct. Like kind of the early tradition, imams, and their masters are very strange in this. They don't give to us. But there is a reason. It doesn't matter you have the million students, or doesn't matter you have single students. Be ready, more benefit. And also it's like teachers should take care of them. Maybe it's like destroying the student minds. If student has hesitation, wrong view, negative views, then it is the harmful act of the rejecting the Dharma. Therefore, we need to take care. And therefore, if like they have harmful acts of the rejecting the Dharma, it can cast on into the depth of hell for innumerable kabas. As the confession text says it. If you have the negative views, if you have kind of harm acts for the rejecting the Dharma, maybe like you follow up the 20, 30 years, great natural great perfections, teachers, finally you hate it, you criticize, you big kind of the separations, you broken down all the samayas. And then maybe teacher need go to hell, the student need 100% go to hell. In this perspective, beginning, if you taking care, maybe some teachers, you don't care, you go to hell. Maybe you are at Bodhisattva, but student, 100%, you should to take care. Why you need to go to hell, the innumerable kabas. And also it's like student to follow up the kind of the great natural great perfections teachers. It is really this teacher itself qualified. If I follow up, may I have doubt? May I have negative view? That we need to check. We don't check without beginning you a jump, and then second, if you criticize, it's not very good. We are like kind of hanging ourselves. We're killing ourselves. Even if we followed, it doesn't matter, maybe some in your mind's problems, errors, and not succeeded, but no need to criticize, no need against it. Confess and to go slow away. But these days, like kind of against it, how much is problems in this our Westerns. And many Dharma centers like split up. How is the problems, teacher and student? And basically you study word of my perfect teacher, Bodhicitta avatars. There's nothing kind of broken things. Okay, not happy, no problem, very sorry, no problem. And also maybe students think, yeah, I used to receive basic, that's okay. Maybe basic teachings basic, I'm studying basic. I'm not much ambitious for being enlightened man. Then it's like very peace, it's okay. Like this. And the confession text says, I confess all the times I have committed on acts even more pernicious than the 5 acts with immediate retributions, that of the rejecting the Dharma. In the 5, the monk of the 5 immediate retributions. Like these 5, you kill your father, mother, arhat, and you like kind of the insult Buddha's body, speech, mind, or you are kind of the rejecting the Dharma. This kind of 5 are we call the immediate retribution, means almost there is no intermediate pardon. You only die one moment direct in the Vajra hells. But in this monk of the 5 immediate retributions, worst it is the rejecting the Dharma. Therefore, whatever I committed, particularly in the like kind of the 5 immediate retributions, the worst like kind of the committed of the rejected Dharma, that I am confess and like kind of the say like this. And there's the kind of his stories. One day, 2 Indian monks who had the 12 qualities of the full training present themselves before Atishas. And the 12 qualities of the fully training set, like this is the monk's practice. For example, to others becomes angry, to you, you never become angry. If others beat you, you never beat the reply to them. And if they are criticized to you, never you criticize to back. Like so on, there is like kind of the 12 qualities of the full trainings. And they present themselves before Joe Atishas, they train them. They're completely, fully like kind of, for this kind of the 12 qualities of the fully training. The fully training means they fully, purely practice these 12 qualities. Then they met maybe Atishas. When Atisha explained to them that the ego has no intrinsic existence, they were pleased. because they are more like kind of the Shavaka, Buddhas, and the monks. Of course, they presented the 12 qualities of the full trainings. And also they part realized the emptiness of the self, non-self. Like they are quite very happy. And then, but when he explained that phenomena have no intrinsic existence either, the exclamation, that's terrifying. Don't say such things. And like kind of Joe Atishas explained non-existence of the phenomena, all the any kind of single phenomena, there's nothing substantially existence. Intrinsically, innate, in the beginning, naturally, no existence. And same as the ego, like self. And then they kind of the explain, means like express, to say, Atisha, please, do not terrify it for us, because very scary. They're difficult to accept that. Like when we say it's like a ego, self exist means I. It is like comes from the confounded of our 5 aggregations. You analyze 5 aggregations. There's nothing kind of I existence that easily to understand. But the 5 aggregations, aggregation of the form, aggregation of the formation, perception, sensation, and consciousness. But all the 4 is like included in the form, materials, consciousness, it is the receivers. That perspective, maybe there is a kind of the indivisible timeless. They think their existence. If there's nothing kind of the existence, empty natures, they become very afraid. They're talking about the primordial cause, universal cause, and the cause of the world and the cause of the sentient beings. Like same as the science or the same others like kind of religious. It's like kind of how we appear in this space, world, sentient beings. Then we are thinking, surely there is the source. We comes from the source. And then they recognize, someone says recognize Big Bang. Someone said it's like kind of the primary ooze. Someone says like kind of God. And the Buddhist perspective, it is the natural great perfections. This one is like kind of the same as there's no affected of the good and bad. Such a kind of go beyond any elaboration. These natural great perfections. This is like each individual single phenomena are dual, but itself is absolutely go beyond the exist or no existence. And therefore, then is there those monks, the 12 qualities of the fully training presented. Those are very much scaring. That's terrified, don't say. Don't say such things, Atishas. And then he read the Heart Sutta. No head, no tail, no body, no arm, no nose, no eyes. They blocked their ears. Like kind of they close the ear. And then it's like Atishas. Sick at heart. Like kind of the pain. Oh. Like kind of they do not understand the real meaning of the Heart Sutta. Heart Sutta is really telling to the like same as the great perfections, empty nature. Toward them, unless you training yourself in the love and compassion of the Bodhicitta, and then develop the confidence in the profound teaching, your pure vows alone will lead you nowhere. Of course, those monks really like kind of the 12 qualities of the training, fully they training, and they have the individual liberation vows, never like broke vows. But this only pure vows alone will lead nothing, nowhere. You should like kind of yourself to develop the love and compassion, Bodhicitta, and very, very important to develop the confidence in the profound teachings, like emptiness. If you do not understand the compassion, love of emptiness, and then it's like liberations very far. Only that to keep the pure vows is quite very difficult to bring you in the state of the Buddhahood. He's really very sad. Even there is another stories. There are said to be many grossly arrogant monks at the time of the Buddha who, when they heard him teach on a profound emptiness, vomited blood, and died, and were reborn in the hells. A number of the other story recounted similar happiness. Even the Buddha Shakyamuni is alive. Of course, he first times when he be enlightenment, he went in the Varanasi, he taught about the Four Noble Truths. It is very much based, quoting the Vinayana Suttas. Of course, the Sutayana Abhidharma, but very basic, relate to the Four Noble Truths. And all those, like grossly arrogant monks. Gross means is like they think they are Buddha, they think they are the perfect. This sort of, I keep pure vow like same as the Buddhas. But they have some is like kind of the arrogant into their mind. And of course then is the Yombachans, others, this city of the king. He started the second teaching, Pajina Paramitas. And then those grossly arrogant monks heard that. They are so afraid. Maybe this is not Buddha's teaching. They are so scared, and when they heard the profound emptiness, like Pajina Paramita Heart Sutta, They vomit blood, so scared they died, and were reborn in the hells. Many like kind of this arhat or the pachikas, shavakas, that this kind of happens. Difficult to bear, difficult to practice patience. There's many different monks of the same as the histories. You can look in the sutta difference. It is very important to have heartfelt and respectful, interested in the profound teaching and those who are teach them. Very important. May you have. Maybe may you in the futures forever. Like a kind of the heartfelt, really kind of respect, deeply, inspires it, inspiring to receive teaching of the profound teaching, emptiness, natural great perfections. You have the faith, devotion, not negative view. Everything you respect. The teaching itself and the teacher, it's also both. And very wonderful pity instructions. At the very least, even if the imitation of your own mind make you indifferent to them, never criticize themselves. Sometimes our own narrow mind, understanding is very much limited and difficult to understand this kind of deep, difficult to understand the qualities of this kind of the teachers. There's many kind of the great, natural great perfection teachers. We sometimes call the wisdom masters, wisdom crazy master. We don't know, really. We're difficult to see. Really, there are crazy wisdom masters. We don't know. And for us, very much kind of limited, difficult, on minders. Indifferent they are. But never ever to criticize. Never ever have the wrong negative views. Just live like this. Like this. Okay. Maybe we can to stop 15 minutes. Then we can go to the patient. Oh, no, diligent.